Tranquilich also sighed, that's right, why is it all day out of power, can't watch dramas. Are you still thinking about dramas? The uncle looked around, discovered that no one noticed himself, suddenly lowered his voice, the mystery said, my son said it could be the end of the world, of course, I did not believe it, but with this strange situation, the two of the grandchildren were girls, be careful, buy as many things as possible. Nguyen and Gung said, we are going to be the same, you should buy a little more. The girl began to complain about her son yet to find his wife. About 20 minutes later, Trin Kui Koan returned from the supermarket, saying to the two, the price of objects does not increase, each person only gets 2 bags of rice 20 kilograms, 1 barrel of oil, a kilogram of noodles, a barrel of mineral water, the total price of other foods does not exceed 100 yuan, girls can buy 3 bags, in addition to other specific regulations, but the total number is not much. Nguyen and Gung immediately asked, so how is the other things limited? Trin Kui Koan looked at Nguyen and Gung, what do you want to ask? Nguyen and Gung, for example, cotton blankets, clothes, perfumes, and other things. Trin Kui recalled a little, those are not limited. Nguyen and Gung knew that everyone around him was straightening his ears to eavesdrop, so she approached Trin Kui Koan, and then said in a small voice, so we linger in the supermarket a bit, looking to buy these. Trin Kui Koan nodded, okay. About 2 hours later, it was finally the 3 of them in the supermarket. Each person can receive a stroller, first all 3 people go to buy things that are limited in quantity, then start walking in other areas. This supermarket is very large, so everything has, Nguyen and Gung volunteered to go ahead, leading the 2 brothers to the saucepan area, there must be a simple gas stove, we buy one first, then go buy gas. Trin Kui Lich was stupid, didn't the commune said they would quickly fix it and prioritize the natural gas supply? No need to do that. Nguyen and Gung looked at Trin Kui Lich with serious eyes, how long is it fast, do you know? Trin Kui Lich could not answer, Trin Kui Koan was also silent, putting 3 gas cylinders into the trolley. Nguyen and Gung took a water purifier and 5 water purifiers. This time, Trin Kui Lich said nothing more, twice. Trin Kui Koan thought for a while, then went to find a salesman, took in the warehouse for 120 water filters. Unfortunately these things are normal in the supermarket, not much, otherwise he can buy more. Next, Nguyen and Gung bought more heat stickers and cold stickers. Trin Kui Lich dumbfounded, the cold patch I still understand, now it is a bit hot, but you take the heat to keep the heat for what it is September. Nguyen and Gung stopped in her ear, saying, when I go to the month of my stomach, it will be very painful, you have to apply it, do you need it? The calendar is still about to say that it is not it was painful, but thinking about it again and she still grew up, a few hundred pieces. Nguyen and Gung led the 2 of them to buy a lot of things, until the payment of the staff who calculated the lack of money was not counted, luckily found a good calculation sister, so the money was successful. Luckily, their bicycles were not stolen by others. Many such things, obviously, could not be transported in one time, the 3 people applied the division strategy, so that Nguyen and Gung stayed to keep the map and the 2 people will transport back and forth. They have to take 4 trips to be able to bring everything home. Shortly thereafter, the 3 of them went to buy gas, just like other dishes, were limited to 2 bottles. Nguyen and Gung felt very interested in this, because of limitations of buying, at that time, she bought 10 bottles into the space, now she could buy 2 more bottles, of course she had to be happy. After buying everything, the sun gradually went down the mountain. Because they had to carry many things from the supermarket, both of them were tired, after greeting Nguyen and Gung an hour, both of them quickly ran home to sleep. Nguyen and Gung did not take a break because she still had a big thing tonight. At midnight, seeing the whole residential area became quiet. Nguyen and Gung quietly went out. No electricity, no lights, moonlights and starlights in the sky look especially bright. Nguyen and Gung relied on that some light out of the residential area, waiting for the road without people to take an electric bicycle in the output space, running towards the highway. Electric cars bought in advance, is second-hand, because it is placed in the space, so it will not be damaged by the solar superstorm, and whether or not to take it out at night is damaged or not, Nguyen and Gung does not care much. In her space there are 10 used electric cars, each costs 400 yuan, especially only once used. Going to the highway is Nguyen and Gung's previous plan, the suburbs where she was very close to the entrance to the highway. Normally it took about 10 minutes to drive and 20 minutes of electric bicycle. Second, on the highway, there are certainly many trucks. Tomorrow there will be heavy rain, most of the materials on the ground will be soaked in water, especially these abandoned cars, they do not know where they will be swept away. Instead of letting it be swept away by the floods, not equal to her to take it better. Regarding whether the truck is guarding or not, Nguyen and Gung guessed that he might not have this ability. This is not the problem of a car or two cars, but all the cars cannot move, the driver will panic. Moreover, no restaurant is open, these drivers still watch up on the highway, just without rice and water. Do you want to starve? According to the plan, Nguyen and Gung went to the beginning of the highway. Indeed this place had no guard. She quietly went into the steep road. After she came to the main road, she discovered the number of cars on the road more than she thought, but most of them had traffic accidents, crooked cars, either crashed into each other, either crashed into the protective barrier, not hit the rear of the car, it was also crashed into the car. More than midnight, in the middle of the quiet deserted field, on the road, all vehicles were discarded, the scene was a bit scary. Nguyen and Gung slowly came, confirming only hearing the wind. Is there someone? Is anyone there? No one answered. About 20 minutes later, Nguyen and Gung saw a terrain car in a relatively complete condition. She got off the tram, went to look at the body of the car under the moonlight when it discovered it was a Daban. Placing his hand on the rear view mirror, the Daban quietly disappeared. What Nguyen and Gung wants is this kind of effect, no sound. The night sky is dark as squid, even 5 fingers do not see, even if some people here cannot detect what happened. She continued walking forward. Nguyen and Gung took away 6 cars that suit his hobbies, whether or not to drive later. Her father has been a car maintenance for 3 years, some of these parts replacing spare parts will not be a big problem for him. Soon, she discovered a large truck. Perhaps due to the loss of driving, this large truck collided with the SUV in the front. The back seat of the SUV was completely broken, luckily without blood stains. The large truck itself is not much better, the front windshield is broken and of course no one in the car. Nguyen and Gung circled the rear of the car, saw the trunk locked, unable to see inside. But this did not make it difficult for Nguyen and Gung. First she collected a large truck into the space, then used the access function to take all the furniture in the car and put it to the ground. Nguyen and Gung went to, pressing his hand into his pocket, it turned out to be rice. Full of a whole barrel, all of which are vacuumed rice bags. How many tons is here? Just started to win. The corner of Nguyen and Gung's mouth raised a bright smile, put all the rice into the space, then put the big truck back to the old place. The whole process is less than 5 minutes, moreover there is no sound. Nguyen and Gung continued to go to the front to explore, then collected an additional Nguyen Lin electric car. Shortly thereafter, she discovered a large truck. This is a good thing. Based on the old way, Nguyen and Gung still put the truck in advance and took out a pile of courier box placed on the ground, finally put those boxes into the space. Fear of not enough room, she did not even leave the trunk of the trunk but stuffed them all into the trunk of the car and then put it into the space. Regarding what inside the courier box, waiting for her home will open it later. Experienced from the previous 2 times, Nguyen and Gung's speed increased very fast. Along the way, she obtained 3 cars and 2 large trucks. Including a truck transporting vegetables, another is filled with potatoes. Potatoes are quite good, clear in the future. Agricultural experts will think of a potato that can withstand cold and drought, although the number is not much, but it is still considered a common food in the end of the world. After storing these things, her space was only 300 cubic meters left. Continue. About 10 minutes later, a medium-sized truck caught in the eyes of Nguyen Ngung. Nguyen Ngung still did the same as before. After taking the goods to see carefully, it was a car carrying Kyoho grape. Currently in the grape season, fruit is both fresh and delicious, indispensable. Nguyen Ngung quietly took away the grapes, leaving the car. Not long after, she discovered another truck in the front. But this truck is relatively small, on which cold cargo car, now has lost 20-4 hours of power, not knowing if there is any damage inside. Nguyen Ngung intended to see in advance, use the previous way to remove the goods, then go to the side to identify. Good. Yet is a truck carrying imported Wagyu beef and live seafood. Because the trunk is insulated, it is not hot today, so the barrel is covered with a thick, dry rock, which is currently giving off a bit cold outside. Nguyen Ngung did not say much, quickly put everything into the space. Her later life quality is completely based on it. Not only can it be used to cook for her parents with romantic candlelight dinner, but she can also taste it. Shortly thereafter, Nguyen Ngung discovered a medical vehicle. This one has no way to distinguish, after all are medicine, so Nguyen Ngung can only pity. After another 20 minutes, she encountered a large truck and 2 courier cars. Unfortunately, the truck carrying industrial equipment, considering the space, Nguyen Ngung just gave up it. The other is a tank truck carrying 20 tons of oil. So what are you waiting for? Take it now. After putting this car inside, the space of Nguyen Ngung was full. Just looking at it was not possible to add more things. Up to now, she has gained a total of 20 tons of gasoline, about 10 tons of rice, more than 8 tons of vegetables, more than 10 tons of potatoes, more than tons of Kyoho grapes, 6 courier cars plus countless courier orders, a car carrying Wagyu beef and seafood. It felt more than what she stored. The area of the space is only about 100 cubic meters left. Nguyen Ngung smiled satisfied, drove the tram forward. The car must be enough, so she probably won't take any more. After about 20 minutes, Nguyen Ngung saw a mid-sized truck, on which the words XX Snack Store Chain. Nguyen Ngung thought for a while, still decided to take some snacks inside. There were all kinds of self-boiling hot pot, instant snail noodles, dried beef, pork breast, chocolate, dried fruit or Coca-Cola, fresh fruit juice, yogurt, cow's milk, and canned fruit. Just take it first, if not enough room then calculated later. At this time, the moon has tilted it to the west. It seems that now it is 2 midnight. Nguyen Ngung continued to go ahead for 10 minutes, this time she saw a dangerous freight car. What is this waiting, quickly coming there? Then went for another 10 minutes, Nguyen Ngung discovered a car carrying a material that could be taken and could not be taken. Tobacco truck. It is not right to say it is not right, anyway, during the end of the world it is a luxury, but it is impossible to use it to eat or drink. In their house, no one smokes. Nguyen Ngung thought for a while. In the end, he still put the cigarette in the space. Perhaps in the end of the world, he could use it in exchange for good things. There was nothing unexpected. The remaining distance she picked up 2 more courier cars, lifting the total number of courier cars to 8. During the flood season at the end of the world, she also had to use it. After that, she also met a truck full of unmanned aircraft. Nguyen Ngung's space really could not accommodate any more, so she could only put a few junk food to get just now and then take a drone in. About a few hundred pieces. After collecting all the spoils, Nguyen Ngung smiled incessantly, happily pleased to drive to the starting place. When she came here she had not realized, but when she came back, Nguyen Ngung discovered that she had gone a very long distance. When it came to the way to the highway, the sky was dim. Store the electric car into the space, then Nguyen and Gung carefully walked towards the steep road. At this time, she discovered that there was a group of people facing the highway, on their backs wearing a large backpack, holding a crowbar in their hands. Fortunately, the slope of a hillside is covered by trees and grass. Nguyen and Gung quickly fled inside the grove of the tree. The other 10 men were getting closer and closer, led as a muscular man. On the right eyebrow bone on the right there was a scar. Beside him, there were some young people who kept looking left and right, seemingly a little scared. Big brother, or do we wait until it is dark and come? The tall man angrily glanced at him. Fear of what? Everywhere is chaotic like this, whoever is free to manage us. On the highway, there are only a few drivers, we are so crowded with them. No electricity, no supervision, no evidence, no way to kill us to catch us. Now you know how the price of food, just find food, we earn more than the old people who sell opium. If you don't want to go, then go away now, of course, don't think about making money. The young man quickly laughed and flattered, Big brother, why don't you want to make money? My wife and children are still waiting for me to raise here. All listen to the big brother. The tall man pleased to stroke his chin, turning his head to warn everyone, later, tea onions a little, submit all the food to find up, wait for the price to be higher before being allowed to sell out. Nguyen and Gung thought that some people could not find it. If found, it will be more pathetic, even the way home is not available. Waiting for them to go away, Nguyen and Gung quickly feet along the slopes of the small mountain down. She brushed off all the grass on her body, hiding everything she did. But this also reminded her, in the apocalypse alone out of unsafe, must improve body quality, practice good skills to use weapons. Arriving home, Nguyen and Gung drank half of the remaining lemon juice, then placed his buttocks to sit down on the sofa. So comfortable. Busy rummaging through a night, her whole body ached. If she said she was not tired, she was definitely deceiving her, but she was both tired and happy. Especially at this time, her mood was extremely excited and unable to sleep, so Nguyen and Gung decided to check his supplies for a while. She closed her eyes to consciously sinking into the space, both happy and sad with the pile of materials like a mountain in front of her. How should this be rearranged? There are really too many things. It is better to partition as before. First, Nguyen and Gung built a specialized area for new transportation, then moved the daben and the cars found last night, as well as the electric cars, bicycles, slides, that she bought earlier. After that, she created a new courier area. Fortunately, this space could be stacked on each other just by thinking, otherwise she did not know when to arrange this small mountain until. Just like before, inside the cars filled with rows. The food area has too many new dishes. Nguyen and Gung reduces unnecessary things, but is just enough. Feeling more and more excited, Nguyen and Gung took a bowl of cherry to wash out, ate and continued to work. The energy area increased not much, a total of 20 tons of gasoline, but because it was contained in the car, it also accounted for a significant volume. Nguyen and Gung did not want to waste any corner. After all, her space shape could be arbitrary. She compressed this space into a cylinder like a photo editing machine, fitting to the oil tank truck. Perfect. Last night, I found a medicine car. At that time there was no way to see it carefully. Now there was time. Nguyen and Gung discovered that there was alcohol, bleach, mask, gauze, protective clothing, in addition to other drugs. Temporarily Nguyen and Gung was lazy to split up. First she arranged these drugs aside, waiting when there was free time to be able to select it again. As for unmanned aircraft, these unmanned aircraft are new, not installed, the rates are relatively low. Nguyen and Gung thinks this is probably belonging to the type of transportation, so she increased the volume of that area and then arranged into one stack. After rearranging for a while, the space looks tidy more neatly, the remaining 3 to 40 cubic meters. When Ngung is blunt, Ji is satisfied. When she was thinking of how to compress it, there was a knock on the door from the living room. 2 days now, there was almost only Quilich to the door to find her. When Ngung stood up and observed a bit, certainly without any strange items. After that, I went to the door to look into the cat's eyes. Unexpectedly the person standing outside was Trin Kui Koan. "Why are you?" When Ngung blinked a few times, opened his mouth and asked, "Who is outside?" The voice of Trin Kui drilled came, "Ms. Nguyen, I am. Yesterday we bought a new kitchen together." Quilich was afraid that she did not know how to install, so she asked me if she needed any help. When Ngung's eyes lit up, hurriedly looked at the items in the room, saying, "Yes, I need help me. Mr. Trin, I waited for me to change my clothes." When Ngung ran into the kitchen, determined that it was not strange, then returned to the main door, opened the door. Trin Kui took the 3 layers of door in her house. When Ngung laughed and laughed, "I live alone, so I have to be a little wary." "That's right, it is necessary to pay attention to safety." Trin Kui Koan did not twist this for too long. "Where did you leave the kitchen?" When Ngung took him a pair of slippers, placed in the kitchen. "This is a slippers I just bought, no one has used it, very clean." Trin Kui bowed his head, discovered that the size was a bit small, but did not say anything, just changed his sandals and followed Nguyen Ngung into the kitchen. The newly bought gas stove was still lying on the closet, not yet opened. Nguyen Ngung sought to give to Trin Kui Koan, "Annoy you? No mind." Trin Kui Koan has practiced once, mastering the box, starting to assemble gas stoves. The 2-bedroom apartment has a very large kitchen area, but the body of Trin Kui is too high, so it makes the kitchen look small. When Ngung went around the kitchen door to see, suddenly felt lucky. "Mr. Trin, actually I have something to discuss with you and Kui Calendar." Trin Kui Koan continued to work in his hand, not raising his head. "What?" When Ngung said, "Yesterday my colleague came to find me, said now the situation is complicated, our company has quit working, the boss also collects materials. He said they had some rice but did not intend to give the boss, asking if I wanted to buy or not, but the price was a bit expensive." This is the inspiration Nguyen Ngung obtained after meeting the other people today. Their appearance proves that the black market exists, moreover can use the sell way to give you a few calendars. If Trin Kui Koan did not come to help, she would not think of this way. To tell the truth, the dignity of these 2 brothers is very good, their value is also high. Nguyen Ngung wants to build good relationships with them. On the other hand, they live close to each other like that. If there is no food, Nguyen Ngung will not sleep well in the evening. The busy hands of Trin Kui Koan stopped, raised her head to look at her. "You are going to ask if I want to buy, right?" "That's right." Nguyen Ngung set a sad appearance. "I want to buy some rice to store, because our boss is very good at believing, so he stores such supplies for definitely something. My colleague said that there were about 30 bags of rice besides them, each bag of 20 kilograms, I couldn't buy so much." Nguyen Ngung looked at Trin Kui Koan with a sincere expression. "Mr. Trin, how about we feel that the 2 of us buy together?" Trin Kui Koan was very calm. "How much they cost?" Nguyen Ngung could not guess whether he wavered before this. Rice is contained in 20 kilograms, packed vacuum, normally costs 100 yuan, currently the price in the market in the city is very high, respect for colleagues, so they give me this price. Nguyen Ngung raised 4 fingers. Trin Kui drilled me, 30 bags are 1,200 yuan. Nguyen Ngung nodded and said, "This price is already good, but I'm afraid I will not eat all, so maybe I only took 10 bags. This is the number that Nguyen Ngung has a preliminary estimate, a total of 400 kilograms of rice, enough to help neighbors to save hunger for a while." By the time they finished eating, it was almost time for her to move, so she no longer had to worry about her neighbors with bad intentions. If the relationship between the 2 houses was still good, she could quietly leave some food before leaving, as if giving people a grace. After thinking for a while, Trinqui opened his mouth and said, "So, if your colleagues really have goods, I will buy a ton. It is 50 bags, but in my hand there is not so much cash, so I can only use gold to assign debts. Do you buy so much?" Nguyen Ngung's eyes lit up. Partly she was happy because the opponent was generous to buy enough food. On the other hand, she prepared her spirit to collect scrap paper. Unexpectedly she could receive gold. Gold is still valuable, which is what can be profitable. Nguyen Ngung did not agree immediately, said he had to ask his colleagues, then answered Trin Quy Cohen. Trin Quy Cohen suddenly asked, "So do you need a deposit?" The deposit. Nguyen Ngung did not think about this. She thought for a while, said probably needed. "If you are not afraid I will trick you, you can give me some money to deposit in advance." Trin Quy drilled, continuing to assemble gas stoves. Waiting after the assembly, he returned home and took a box, opened it to Nguyen Ngung to see. "This is the gold I bought at the bank. Inside there is still a certificate, about 50 grams. I know normally gold will not sell at the market price, so you can negotiate with them." 2 days ago Nguyen Ngung saw a gold bar costing about 480 yuan. Based on the market price, 50 grams of gold will be more than 4,000 yuan. This has reached the level of best friend. Nguyen Ngung raised an eyebrow, looked at Trin Quy Cohen, jokingly said, "Mr. Trin, you give me so much, not afraid of me hugging the money to escape?" Trin Quy drilled the lid and gave her, "If you are a crook, then a little money is still in the offender because I can accept it. If not, I am the beneficiary, giving candles worthwhile to risk." Nguyen Ngung laughed and received the box. "All right, I'm not to the extent because 20,000 yuan fled, moreover now I can run and run away." Trin Quy stopped for a bit, opened his mouth and said, "So you go out to remember to pay attention to safety, and the new gas stove is finished, normally when used must be a little careful." Nguyen Ngung was funny. "Mr. Trin, rest assured, I will pay attention." Trin Quy nodded and left Nguyen Ngung's house. After that, Nguyen Ngung also went out to take a walk, found the store that he rented before, threw it in its 60 bags of rice. She returned to the residential area, knocking on the door of the apartment. The one who opened the door was the precious calendar. She still held a poker in her hand, saw Nguyen Ngung coming, her eyes lit up. "Stop Ngung, have you come to find me to play?" Nguyen Ngung laughed and said, "It is true that you find you, but also find your brother." Perhaps Trin Quy heard a sound, so he walked out of the room, looking at her. Nguyen Ngung said, "Mr. Trin, my colleague agreed. Moreover, they also transported rice to the warehouse. We need to come and get it, but requires to move all before noon." Trin Quy Cohen nodded. "Okay, how much money we still need to pay?" Nguyen Ngung, "No need, now the price of goods on the side is very chaotic, they prefer gold, saying gold price may increase." Trin Quy Lich at the side heard his face bewildered. When the two of them explained, she dumbfounded. We buy so much rice, what are you missing now?" Trin Quy Cohen said, "Peace of mind, do not force you to eat all where, if at that time did not work, I would take it to the shooting room." Trin Quy Lich still felt that her brother was a bit worried, but her advantage was to listen. "All right, but so many that will definitely eat, how you are going to be?" The three of them took a lot of strength to be able to transfer 60 bags of rice. On the road also covered a plastic coating on the surface of a tricycle to avoid incidents. Residents in the residential area, if not busy, they also go out to find a place to store food, so no one will pay attention to them. In the last trip, it was also covered by dark clouds. Under the building of the residential area, Trin Quy Lich looked at the black sky, confusing. This morning it was still beautiful, why did the weather suddenly change like this? These dark clouds look very similar to the end of the movie in the movie. Cheng Qian's face became heavy, frowning. "First, move the rice into the corridor, hurry up and quickly." He just finished speaking, The raindrops had fallen to the ground. The three-legged four-legged people rushed to bring the remaining 5 rice to the corridor, then Chen Ky drilled the first number of rice to the front of the 1802 apartment. At this time, heavy rain had poured down, the sky seemed to have a hole, the rushing water poured down. Chen Kui drilled despite the wind, closed out of the window in the corridor, the clothes were soaked, hurriedly turned to say to Nguyen and Gung, "You quickly go home to close the door, this rain is very strange." "All right, you two quickly come in." Nguyen and Gung nodded, took the key to open the door. Before she went out, she had closed the window again so she did not get in the rain. Nguyen and Gung locked the 3 layers of the door, then went to the front of the window in the living room. Outside the rain is pouring water. Nguyen and Gung has never seen such a heavy rain, like the whole heaven and earth are flooded with water. In the immediate future, it is all the white rain. Suddenly, the sky rumbled for an hour, thunder rang. Nguyen and Gung was threatened to jump, his eyes opened, really felt very scary. This rain is too big. Because she had read through the novel, she knew that this was heavy rain in the end of the world, but the feeling of reading and when she witnessed it was not the same. Then when reading the book she was only surprised at this detail, and now she felt more and more afraid of nature. Can you really survive in the end of the world? Nguyen and Gung took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. These negative emotions did not work in the future, she still needs psychological stability. Leaving the window, she went to the kitchen to get beef stewed, stir-fried carrots, spicy squid, and vegetables. Busy for 2 days, collecting so many materials, Nguyen and Gung felt a little rewarding himself. She filled her stomach and drank another cup of milk tea. When the rice was finished, she rested for half an hour and took a shower, then took out a bunch of grapes, eating and reading I Was in the End of the World based on the children and grandchildren to save the whole family. Previously, Nguyen and Gung briefly read this book once, there were many details that she did not pay attention to, anyway now could not go out, she started watching from the beginning. Just read for a while she was fast asleep. When she woke up was the next day. Because sleeping for so long, Nguyen and Gung felt that her head was a bit painful, she went to the window to look outside, discovering the surrounding places had been flooded almost. Based on the terrain height where they live, maybe the 2nd and 3rd floors of other places have been flooded. Nguyen and Gung thought for a while, went into the bedroom in the east, put all the beds, cabinets, and other furniture into the space. 2 days now will not be out, but cannot stay at home and sleep forever. Nguyen and Gung decided to fix a room into a gym, and put physical training and weapons training on his schedule. First, she spread the soundproof carpet on the floor, then took out the steel and installed it according to the instructions. Take the recurved bow. This room was quite large, so it was still a bit empty. Nguyen and Gung presented hula, jump rope, and squeezed his hand. In fact, she also bought an electric bicycle ride, saying that it was an improved bicycle, just pedaling, and pedaling, she could complete the exercise and create electricity. Unfortunately, it is not possible now. That's right, yesterday I went to bed early, I still haven't cleaned up the refrigerator to do it, I can't forget this. After this, Nguyen and Gung went to breakfast. After half an hour's rest, she started practicing. Nguyen and Gung took a deep breath, stood at the spot to perform muscle relaxation for 2 minutes, then took the jump string to start dancing, each time jumping about 70 and performed 3 times in a row. After finishing the campaign, her body was soaked in sweat. Rest for 20 minutes to make up for water, then she started the next exercise. Nguyen and Gung opened the book Arching Enterprise out, picking up the recurved bow, both compared to the image in the book and practicing the arrow position. Do not know if it is right, can only be said not bad. The blink of an eye was at noon. She lazy to cook rice, lunch still ate food in the space, yesterday she ate beef, today she was about to eat soup with fish and some vegetables. When eating rice, Nguyen and Gung went to the balcony to try and discovered that the second floor in the opposite side was almost flooded. It was still raining. Moreover, it can be relentless rain. Nguyen and Gung shook his head and continued to eat fish soup. Eat quite delicious. After eating and cleaning the kitchen, Nguyen and Gung decided to ventilate in the house. She went to the living room balcony, opened the window a bit, because in the hidden place, there was only a little rain in. Nguyen and Gung placed a dry rag next to the window, probably there would be no big problem. After that, she walked to the main door, opened it, followed the same process and opened the window of the corridor next to it. Although there is only a little wind, it still feels that the air is gently circulating. Nguyen and Gung decided to breathe fresh air here. Not long, the door of the opposite apartment was suddenly opened from within. Nguyen and Gung instinctively looked over, saw that the Quilich was holding a bag to go out. When she saw Nguyen and Gung she was a bit surprised. And Gung, what are you doing here? Nguyen and Gung pointed the window, winding the wind. Ah! Trin Quilich sadly, what should she say now, throw out the window. Nguyen and Gung, but what can I do, piled up at home. In the heart of Quilich still could not accept littering, but she had no other choice. If not 2 days, her whole family would smell the rotten. She was about to leave it at the door, but when she saw Nguyen and Gung here, she immediately gave up that intention. Trin Quilich could only go to another window, his right hand opened the door, his left hand quickly threw the garbage bag out, then hurriedly closed the door. Although her movements are very fast, it still has rain water. She said nothing, just bowed her head to look at her clothes. It's raining too much. Thinking for a while, she studied Nguyen and Gung opened the window, breathing a little fresh air. Just when someone elected with him, Nguyen and Gung leaned against the window, chatting. Why are you going out to throw out? Where is your brother? He went downstairs to see the situation. Precious Calendar frowned, showing a completely different sadness than usual. You still don't know, right? Last night, there are many people in the villa running to our apartment. But our apartment is only more than 20 floors, moreover now the second floor has been flooded, and the third floor is preparing to move.